Another quick progress update on my Backwoods Miniatures wood-bodied vertical boiler Loco rebuild, because if you've watched my previous short on this, you'll know that this was purchased having been disassembled. It was originally a complete running locomotive with its Davenport Gas Mechanical donor chassis, but sometime during its life the owner then removed the chassis from it, sold that off with its original Davenport body and left the remaining bits, which I've subsequently bought. So now I'm reconnecting it with another Davenport Gas Mechanical chassis, which is what I've got here. By the way, I hope you approve of my lighting. This is my layout that's suspended from the ceiling, which I've got videos covering that, including the relatively recent near crisis. But because it hides my fluorescent strip light, it does struggle a bit. So here I've got a 1 lumens torch suspended with a piece of string to give us a bit more light. Improvisation's never a bad thing, usually. Anyway, what have I been doing today? Well, I pulled the Davenport Loco chassis apart, checked all the gears, including the drive gears, which, you know, is an infamous issue there. They tend to split. These are actually all fine. And although I have got brass conversion options, there's about 50 brass gears here I bought from a source in China. They're now almost impossible to get. If you need one or two, rather, you need 2 per Loco, I might be prepared to part with a few if you contact me. There's some here, look, which have already been fitted on the axles. The gear has to be a press fit, the same as the original plastic one is. I've got this jig here which a friend of mine made up, so you actually put the gear in the end, tap it straight, make sure it's square, put that in the lathe of a chuck, and then you can drill it out to whatever size you want. I'm not going to make a recommendation there, it's up to you, but it needs to be ultimately a tight fit on the it's not really a spline shaft, but over the axle, so that it's not going to move. And then afterwards you can put this mandrel through and it just taps the gear back out. So it's not essential, people have managed without, but I think as the gears seem to be okay with this one, I think I'll leave it as it is. So I've lubricated everything up. I've removed the capacitors off the motor because as it's going to be DCC, we don't need those on there at all. And I've now soldered 2 wires to the motor. It's going to be completely hardwired, this decoder, so it does away with that silly Bachmann PC board and connections down to the brush gear, which are hopeless really. So it'll all be hardwired and make it a lot more reliable. And as you can see, it runs quite sweetly on this little bit of test track. So I'm going to be, I think, happy with that. I thought I'd better check all this before I go much further with the Loco build. The reason I got such a lot of these brass gears, by the way, is because, well, the Bachmann normal drive gears split. I'm sure you know all about that. I've noticed that Bachmann are out of stock again now of the axle assembly. Surely it's only a matter of time before you won't be able to get those at all. So I wanted a solution that would deal with my Locos going forward in the future. I've actually got about probably 10, I would think, 10 Davenport, I say gas mechanicals. Probably 8 of them are complete original Locos. The other 2, they're being used in a couple of box cabs, and I think I've got a critter as well with one in. So I've got 10 or 11 to keep these going. So with the brass gears, that does give me an option. The decoder, this is a Lais decoder. I'm not going to bother going for sound. I do have some sound Locos, but I didn't think with this I would. But this is, I think, going to fit quite nicely on top of the plastic motor clip there. And then the keep alive, which is over here. All trying to film all this one-handed. I do have a tripod, but sometimes this is an easier solution. So that's quite chunky. It's one of the larger sizes, but I think it'll fit in behind this front part of the Loco body. So I'm going to tuck that in there, disguise it a bit if I need to. I've mentioned before I've got a challenge over some of these extremely fine resin parts. I like to think I'm pretty careful with things, but it seems to me even just looking at it, bits fall off and snap. So, of course, this isn't connected to anything. It's just a dummy, really. They just connect up with the cylinder block on the side of the vertical boiler. So you've then got two connecting rods and the valve assembly. So they just literally hang in there. So I'm going to see what I can do by using some Porter parts here, chop them about a bit. We'll see. You're not going to see much of it by the time there's a driver figure in there. But anyway, that's where we're at today. I'll keep you posted, and if you've got any questions, then pop something in the contacts area, and I'll do my best to get back to you and reply to that quickly. It would really massively help me, by the way, if people liked the videos, assuming you did like them, and also subscribe to the channel. It is a new channel. I'm still a relative beginner, but I hope some people are going to be blessed and also interested in what I've got going on. I've got quite a variety. I've got about 70 locomotives in my fleet, ridiculously high number for such a small layout, but some quite interesting ones in there, and quite a few other projects as well still waiting in the wings. So hopefully there'll be something to keep you interested. Anyway, your support would just encourage me. Thanks ever so much. Enjoy your modelling.